again. Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with this morning's pre-market prep. What a week we have had. Markets under pressure and potentially looking at going down and retesting those recent lows of February. I don't want to bombard you with too many things to watch today. I think we want to keep an eye on some of the levered volatility ETFs, TVIX, UVXY. We'll just pull those up real quick here. All right, we've broken through this little flag pattern here and closed above the 100 EMA. Potentially, the markets right now actually have climbed back. I was thinking we would get maybe a red to green little bounce on the markets and then maybe continue with the trend lower. But we'll see how it plays out today. We got China threatening retaliation, trade war fears, all this stuff. We have some interesting things going on today, like Dropbox's IPO, and that I think will be one to keep an eye on, see how it does. Not a very good day to do an IPO, but we'll see how it performs. We've got a couple of other stocks. I mean, one of the things besides TVIX, UVXY, if the IBB and IWM do continue to decline, then you're going to want to look at TZA. That's for the IWM. You want to keep an eye on this one for a potential trading opportunity, as well as LABD for the IBD, right? If IBB, if those continue to decline, we have potential trading opportunities there. We've got in pre-market, we've got gold, which is gapping up a little bit here this morning. Let's take a look. So S&P just went positive. Gold is gapping a bit, so maybe some of those small junior miners worth keeping an eye on. JNUG, Nugget, those could be opportunities. Let's see if this gap up in gold can hold, though. Yesterday, I was very interested in the action of gold yesterday. It did not really move the way you would have thought it would move in a market like we had yesterday with the sell-off, and that was kind of interesting to me. So keep an eye on JNUG and Nugget as potential trading, short-term trading opportunities. I wouldn't hold these overnight or over the weekend, especially, but there could be quick short-term trades there during the day here. Kroger is going nuts all of a sudden. Oh, Target and Kroger mulling a merger is the rumor. Not sure if there's any validity to this rumor, but Kroger has been beaten up recently. Gap to fill on the daily. Let me see what we're doing here in pre-market. This just hit. KR. And it's filling that gap. It is filling the gap this morning here, 26.50. So I think we need to get clarification and see if that rumor is actually real. AMD is pulling back this morning after rumors that they had won a server contract with Microsoft, but that was unconfirmed. Couldn't find it. And now it seems to be pulling back this morning. So before you jump on any of these headlines, be careful. You want to make sure it's not, what do we call it? Fake news, right? So be careful out there with Kroger. But this one is also, this is a pretty thick stock. 814 million shares in the float, almost a billion shares. And if this rumor turns out not to be true, you could see a pullback there in Kroger. All right, Dropbox I mentioned. Let's take a look at this MDGS. They reported after the close yesterday, and it looked like a pretty good beat on MDGS. Let me take a look here and see. Let's see, operating loss 1.2 $6 million, 154,000. I guess shares up after revenue up 200% from same quarter last year. So you had a revenue beat. They're still losing money. This potentially a day trading opportunity here. Got up to a high of $1.75. We are currently sitting at about $1.60. So if we look at areas of potential price support, the $1.60 area could act as support. You've got the 100 EMA here, 100 simple there. Uh, we take that out. There is a gap to fill up to about $2.10. Small float. This has only got, I wrote it on here somewhere, 2.5 million shares in the float. So very tiny floater. Let's see what kind of volume we get. Could be an interesting play, but they are likely going to need to raise cash. So do not chase this thing and look for, play it size appropriate, especially in a market like this one. MU reported after the close, good earnings, good guidance, just got an $80 price target put on it by, who was that? Put that on there. JP Morgan puts an $80 price target on it. Wells Fargo, $70 price target on it. And nice looking pattern on the on the daily here. It is actually, it pulled back. Let's take a look and see what it did last night. Okay, now we're kind of grinding higher. But this had pulled to a low of $54. It's at $58 right now. So we had pulled back and actually pierced. We pulled back into a little bit of a price support area there, just below the 20-day. Probably shook some people out. Now we've climbed back up to $58. We'll see if this is a big thick stock. This is more of a long-term hold or swing consideration than it is a day trade. But there are days where it's got some range. So I mean, it's worth keeping an eye on here. $58 is where we are sitting right now. Maybe look for a pullback to 57 or 55, $56 would be fantastic. Pull back to that 20 again, see if it holds a support for a bounce. Like I said, more of a long-term hold consideration on MU than it is a day trade, but we'll see. Could have some interesting range today, so worth having on the radar. Another semiconductor name is this SGH Semiconductor Memory reported last night, and that was a good beat. Let me see what it's doing in pre-market. Actually got halted last night. Beat big time, 174 to 182. Oh no, that's their guidance. They also gave some really good guidance here. Let me see, quarter two EPS 173 versus 133, 314 million versus 290 estimate. And then they gave guidance of 174 to 182 versus 126. So you had good guidance and a good beat. And this is a tiny floater. This is a small floater and it's gapping this morning. Let me pull this up. All right, it's testing $49, which is, just to make sure, all-time highs. This is a fairly recent, fairly new company to the exchange. Recent IPO 2017. 6.4 million shares in the float. This is a small floater. Traded 1.3 million shares yesterday and traded a pretty good amount of shares in pre-market. So gapping up to all-time highs. Maybe we get a pullback to say $47. See if that holds a support for a bounce. But I like the look of this SGH quite a bit. And with that small float, this baby could be in play. So worth having on the radar for potential trading opportunity. Maybe a higher risk swing because of that small float, but worth keeping an eye on. IFMK. So this is a interesting kind of look here. This is a China, I think, China grocer or something to that effect. signs letter of intent to acquire. This was 3 days ago, but this had a little pop. It's coming up into a trend line here now. May find resistance and wind up pulling back and giving us a double test of this $5 here. It is, like I said, right at resistance. You got the 20-day overhead. Takes out this trend line though. This only got 2.7 million shares in the float, tiny floater, and bucked the trend yesterday, right? So held up in a tough market. Uh, higher risk trade for sure. Could be a red to green type play. Maybe you look for a pullback to say $7. See if that holds the support for a bounce. But at least worth having this one on the radar for just a quick scalp trade. It traded 130,000 shares. You got to have some volume, some liquidity there to be able to get in and out. But at least worth having on the radar for a day trading opportunity. LUNA. So I was watching this one. I liked the look of the daily, and I missed it. Somehow I missed this yesterday. I had been watching this formation. Kind of looked like we got a reverse head and shoulders pattern on the daily time frame, and popped out yesterday. Bucked the trend, right? Flirting with the potential 3 roll. Looking for a red to green move on this one. It's the second day of the move. Maybe get a little red to green. It'd be the third day of the move. So maybe we get a 3 test and roll. Maybe look for a pullback to 280 or so, 275. See if that holds the support for some type of a bounce. But I like the look of Luna quite a bit. TNDM, and that could be a swing or that could be a swing on a pullback to say 270, right? 265, 270. See if that holds as support. What acted as resistance holds as support. Good volume yesterday, 562,000 shares. So potential day trade, potential swing on a pullback to support. TNDM. This is actually got a pretty decent looking setup on the daily. Maybe look for a little trend line break here. Go up and test the 200-day moving average somewhere around $4.50. Let me see. I thought there was news this morning. Let me see if there is. Yeah, another expansion of a contract added $1.5 million. I think that these guys need to raise capital in the fairly near future. I could be wrong on that one, but just recently closed the gap. It's kind of flagging out underneath the 200-day. Could be a day trading opportunity there. 479,000 shares. It's only got 4 million shares in the float, so you got a pretty small float on this one. But potential day trading opportunity there off of this news. Let me see if it's doing anything in pre-market here. I did not look. I'm going to take a look right now. All right, so it popped up to $3.45. Wait a minute. TEUM, where are we at here? Got to the low of 322. Hold on. Oh, I'm looking at one stock and thinking about another one here. TEUM. TNDM. Hold on a second. All right, got two stocks completely confused there. TNDM. Baird raises it to outperform. So let's look at that TNDM again. Thinking one stock, and then we'll look at TEUM. Tandem has an interesting look on the daily. Got an upgrade from Baird this morning. TNDM is got a pop up to $4.40. It's actually pulled back to $4.20 here. You got the 50-day or the 200-day here at 450. Maybe look for a pull. Look for 390 or so to hold as support for a bounce. It's already pulled back to about $4.20 in pre-market. 390, $4. See if that holds as support for a bounce, and then get a test back up to this 200-day moving average and close this gap on the daily. So that's one to keep an eye on. TNDM. Now let's take a look at the TEUM. TEUM. That's the one that announced this contract addition for 1.5 million. Now this is the one that I think may need to raise some capital, and this had popped in pre-market. Potential day trade opportunity here. It popped up to $3.45. It's already pulled back to 3.24 is where it's currently sitting. Uh, it's had a pretty nice little run already, and it's right at resistance. So, there could be a scalp, but I would not hold this one overnight, especially through the weekend, just because of the fact that it does look as though they could stand to raise some capital. All right, let's see. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it there. Oh, Wynn. Steve Wynn sold out his shares. This is more of a long-term hold or swing consideration play. Um, he's gotten out of his. I think for a long-term hold, ideally, you come back to that 200-day, or not 200-day, but this trend line here, 160. I think that's a really really interesting place to look for Wynn for a long-term hold. But we could also see a nice bounce off of the 50-day. And now that Steve Wynn has sold out his entire position, this is not a thick stock. 78.3 million shares in the float. And Galaxy Entertainment, which I thought was pretty interesting, picked up 5 million shares. So we'll see what happens with this one. But this could be a nice bounce trade today. Let me see what it's doing in pre-market. WYNN. It's already up to 184, so we're already getting a nice bounce in this. The low was 176.50, and we are already up to 184. So look, I wouldn't chase it at 184. Maybe you look for a pullback to 176, 177. See if that holds as support for a bounce. But pretty nice move in Wynn already this morning in pre-market. All right, you're more than welcome to come join us. It's Free Friday. Come join us for the live session, open mic. Not just myself, but other members sharing their ideas for the trading day. Come on and join us. Look for the link on the page. And that's it. Good luck trading today, and I'll see you hopefully in the chat room.